Hello. We are looking for highly intelligent individuals. To find them, we have devised a test. That sentence appeared on an anonymous message board in the first days of January 2012. No name attached. No explanation. Just an image, black background, white text, posted where anyone could say anything, and usually did. Within hours, that image had been downloaded, copied, and dissected by strangers on 3 continents. Within a week, it had led a small army of amateur codebreakers through prime number ciphers, hidden files, and a phone number that rang out somewhere in Texas. Within a month, it had vanished, leaving behind almost nothing except a name. Cicada 3301. I'm going to walk you through this like an accident report, methodically, following the evidence and no further. Because that's the only way to understand what Cicada 3301 was. Not sensational. Forensic. By the end, you'll understand why, more than a decade later, nobody, not journalists, not the people who allegedly solved it, not even certain governments who took a quiet interest, can say for certain who built this, or why. Chapter 1, The Call to Action. To understand how something this elaborate could start with a single anonymous post, you have to understand where it was posted. The board was built for anonymity. No usernames, no accounts, no way to trace a poster back to a person. A message like this could spread and be taken seriously purely on the strength of what it said, because there was no author to vouch for it. And the puzzle was good. Immediately, obviously good. Hidden inside that first image was a second layer of information, invisible to the naked eye. It's called steganography, and it's different from encryption. Encryption scrambles a message so it's unreadable without a key. Steganography hides the existence of the message entirely. You're not looking at a locked box. You're looking at a wall with a safe built into it, and you don't even know the safe is there. The hidden data revealed a string of numbers, an offset cipher based on prime numbers, the kind of code you'd learn in an introductory cryptography course, applied cleanly enough that solving it felt like earning something. Decoded, it pointed to a web address. That address led to another image. That image contained another hidden clue. And that clue led to a phone number. Call it, and you got a recorded voice reciting more numbers. Those numbers were coordinates. And that's where Chapter 1 stops being a puzzle you solve at your desk, and starts being something else entirely. Chapter 2, The Global Scavenger Hunt. This is the part of the story that should not have been possible. A puzzle posted by an anonymous account had just asked people to physically travel to locations around the world. And they did. At each set of coordinates, solvers found a printed poster. Same cicada symbol. A QR code. When scanned, it led to yet another layer of the puzzle, because this was 2012, when QR codes were still novel enough that most people had to download an app just to read one. What separates Cicada 3301 from a typical marketing stunt is the coordination. Someone had to physically print and place nearly identical posters in cities on different continents, timed closely enough that solvers found them within the same short window. That's not one person with a printer. That takes planning and more than one participant on the ground. The puzzles kept escalating away from technical skill, toward obscure, cross-disciplinary knowledge. Solvers needed to recognize numerological systems tied to Mayan calendrical mathematics. They needed to identify obscure literary texts, reportedly including little-known medieval works, and cross-reference them against runic alphabets. One stage required music theory, another leaned on the Kabbalistic tree of life, another on classical texts most people would never meet outside a graduate seminar. No single person was likely to have all that knowledge. And that, many researchers believe, was the point. This wasn't testing what you knew. It was testing whether you could organize a team of strangers, fast enough to keep pace. Someone designed a filtering system, a series of gates, each one eliminating people who couldn't collaborate, couldn't cross-reference, couldn't think outside their specialty. By the final layers, solvers weren't just intelligent. They'd proven they could function inside a structured, high-pressure, ambiguous problem with total strangers. That's not a puzzle. That's an assessment. And that single observation is what kicked off the theory that would come to define this entire mystery. If this kind of deep-dive investigation is what you come to this channel for, subscribe to Mystery Catch and turn on notifications, the question everyone actually watches for. Chapter 3, The Suspects. Who builds something like this? Let's weigh the theories, not by picking a favorite, but by what each one explains, and what it leaves unexplained. Theory 1, an elaborate alternate reality game. By 2012, multi-platform puzzle narratives built to promote a film, game, or brand were an established genre. This theory holds that Cicada 3301 was simply an unusually well-funded example of the form. The problem, no product, film, or brand ever emerged. No reveal. No sponsor. Years later, still nothing. If this was marketing, it was marketing for something that never showed up, which is, to put it mildly, bad marketing. Theory 2, a secret society, recruiting for itself. This theory leans on the puzzle's obsession with esoteric knowledge, occult numerology, classical mysticism, and argues the organizers were building something closer to a modern initiatory order. It's compelling and unfalsifiable in exactly the way that makes it hard to rule out. There's no verified list of who graduated. No confirmed organization anyone has traced this back to. This theory explains the aesthetic of the puzzle. It doesn't explain who wrote the check. Theory 3, the one most researchers keep returning to, intelligence agency recruitment. The puzzle's design, filtering for cryptography, linguistics, cross-referential research, and team coordination under pressure, maps almost perfectly onto the skill set intelligence and cybersecurity agencies actively recruit for. Solvers reported being asked, in later stages, to submit contact information. A small number claimed to have been approached afterward about employment, though none of these claims have ever been independently confirmed. No government agency has ever claimed responsibility. No leaked document has definitively tied any specific agency to the puzzle. What we have is a strong resemblance between the skill profile being tested and the skill profile agencies want, and a mystery that behaves like something built by people who already knew how to disappear. That resemblance is suggestive. It is not proof. Chapter 4, an endless mystery. The 2012 puzzle didn't just end. It resolved, for a handful of people, into a final web page. A short message, thanking those who'd made it that far. And then silence. Except it wasn't over. The following January, the puzzle returned. New images, new ciphers, the same cicada symbol, as though whoever was behind it had been waiting a year to run it again. Then again the year after that. Each iteration harder, each one ending the same way, total silence from whoever crossed the finish line. This is what makes Cicada 3301 different from almost every other unsolved internet mystery. The people who did solve it, and there's good reason to believe a small number genuinely did, have almost without exception never spoken publicly about what they found, who contacted them, or what happened next. Not one tell-all interview. Not one leaked document. Not one solver cashing in on their story. Whatever waited at the end of that puzzle either wasn't worth talking about, or those who reached it were asked, in some form, not to. The organization's presence eventually went dark. No further puzzles have surfaced with confirmed authenticity, though copycats and hoaxes claiming the Cicada name pop up periodically, which is its own kind of tribute. So, who was behind the internet's most mysterious website? The honest answer is, we don't know. Not with certainty. What we have is a trail of evidence pointing toward an organization with real resources, real global reach, and a total, disciplined refusal to ever confirm it. That refusal is the most convincing piece of evidence in the entire case. Whoever built this understood something most puzzle makers don't: the mystery is the message. The moment you explain it, you've ended it. They never explained it. If you've ever gotten close to an answer, or you're one of the few who claims to already have one, drop it in the comments. We read every one. And if you want more investigations like this, subscribe to Mystery Catch and hit the bell so